Wilmot. In case you guys haven't met me before, although I think I know quite a few of you. This is the session the chemistry session that we actually ran at school last week. So if you're those of you who are unable to make it to that session, this is one that you can go through with me now, and I'll talk you through it. So you can be able to look at chemical reactions that you need for your paper 1 topics, chemical changes. You need to be able to name the products of some chemical reactions with the given reactants. You need to be able to name the metal salts in chemical reactions, and also have a go at balancing the symbol equations. 2 to start activities to kick you off, folks. So could you either have a go at the blue task or the pinky orangey task, please? So pause the video and have a go at those, and then I'll go through the answers with you. So pause the video now, please. Okay, so let's have a go through the answers. So the first one is name the elements in the periodic table which are in group 1, and also why do they increase reactivity. So you've got lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and francium. And the outer electron of each of those, as you go down the group, the atom gets bigger. So the outer electron gets further away from the nucleus. So the positive nucleus has less attraction on that negative electron as the atom gets bigger. So there's less what we call electrostatic force of attraction. So therefore, it's easier for that electron to be lost. So it is more reactive. The right-hand task, sodium and chlorine only have to transfer 1 electron, as where calcium and oxygen need to transfer 2. So therefore, the transferring of those 2 electrons is a little bit harder. So therefore, it's less reactive. Okay, if you let's start going through some of these reactions with you. So whenever you react any metal at all with oxygen, you make a metal oxide, for example. Magnesium and oxygen forms magnesium oxide. Okay, could you pause the video, please, and have a go at balancing that symbol equation? So the symbol equation there, if we have magnesium, we've got 2 oxygens on the left, we probably need 2 on the right. So that suggests to us that's going to have a 2 there. So therefore, if there's 2 magnesiums on the right, there's going to be 2 on the left. You've already got your 2 oxygens, so you need 2 magnesium oxides on the right. Okay, next task I'd like you to do, with the names of all these chemicals here, could you write down the name of the ones which are metal oxides, remembering that a metal oxide is a compound that contains metal and oxygen only. So could you write down now the names of those metal oxides, and if you're able to, write down what they're called as well, please. Okay, let's go through some of these answers then. So the first one is aluminium oxide. Next one is calcium carbonate. There's carbon in there as well, so that's not a metal oxide. Next one is carbon dioxide. Carbon is not a metal, so that's not a metal oxide. Next one's got no oxygen in. That's wrong. Zinc carbonate is not a metal oxide. Calcium oxide is though. This next one's got sulfur in. That's actually sulfuric acid. So because there's sulfur in there, there's not even any metal in it. So that's definitely not. Iron oxide is, as is zinc oxide, sodium oxide, and lithium oxide. Now the next one, although it's got 1 element and oxygen in, that element is sulfur, and sulfur is not a metal. So therefore, that is not a metal oxide. But magnesium oxide is. And on the bottom row there, none of those others have got only metal and oxygen in. So they are all not metal oxides. So remembering a metal oxide contains only metal bound to oxygen. So could you navigate this task, please? So there are 3 green tasks and 2 red tasks. Could you choose 2 green, or a green and a red, or the 2 harder red ones? And all you need to do is write down the word equation for reacting that metal with oxygen, and also, if you're able to, have a go at the symbol equation as well. Okay, pause the video and have a go at 2 of those, please. Or if you're feeling brave, have a go at all 5. Okay, let's go through some of the answers then now. So first of all, number 1, zinc plus oxygen gives you zinc oxide, and there's the balanced equation. If you could pause the video and mark your work, please. Copper plus oxygen gives you copper oxide, and there's your balanced equation. If you could pause the video and mark your work, please. Lead plus oxygen gives you lead oxide. There's the balanced equation. If you could pause the video and mark your work, please. Iron plus oxygen gives you iron oxide. This is a slightly trickier word equation, symbol equation. You need 4 leads, ions even, with 3 oxygens giving you 2 Fe2O3. And for the aluminium one, aluminium plus oxygen gives you aluminium oxide. And the symbol equation again is a bit tricky. You need 4 aluminiums and 3 O2s, giving you 2 Al2O3 for the aluminium oxide. So that's what happens when you act a metal with oxygen. When you act a metal with an acid, 2 products are made. You make a metal salt and you make hydrogen. Now, the name of the metal in the metal salt is the metal that you started with. So if that's lithium, you make a lithium salt. Sodium, a sodium salt. Iron, an iron salt. The name of the salt you make, though, is determined by the acid you use. If you use hydrochloric acid, you will make a chloride. If you make sulfuric acid, you make a sulfate, and nitric acid makes a nitrate. So, based on that information, could you have a go at completing those word equations, please? And if you're feeling brave and able to, could you also balance the symbol equations for numbers 1, 2, and 6? That's a higher tier task. To help you do that task, you've been given symbols for the products at the bottom there for those equations. So pause the video, please, and either do the word equations or do the word equations and symbol equations 1, 2, and 6. Okay, let's go through some answers then. So for number 1, you'd make copper chloride plus hydrogen. Number 2, copper sulfate plus hydrogen. Number 3, zinc chloride plus hydrogen. Number 4, magnesium sulfate and hydrogen are the products. Number 5, tin nitrate and hydrogen. And number 6, lithium sulfate. There are the answers for these symbol equations. Hopefully you managed to get them balanced correctly. Okay. Now, in the previous example, when you had a metal and reacted it with acid, you made metal salt plus hydrogen. This time it's a little bit different because acids contain H plus ions. That's what makes them acidic. Now, that H plus ion, if what it's reacting with is a metal oxide, that's a metal with oxygen attached to it. That oxide, the oxygen, reacts with the H plus ions, and the product you make this time isn't hydrogen, it's water. So that water is H2O. Think about it logically. Hydrogen from the acid, oxygen from the metal oxide, hydrogen plus oxygen, H2O. So that's where you get your water from. And again, the metal salt you make is based on the name of the metal from the metal oxide and the acid you used. Same task as before, folks. Could you have a go at writing down the name of the salt and the products of these reactions, please? Remember, you've got a metal oxides this time, so water is going to be your product, one of your products, not just hydrogen. And if you're able to, could you have a go at doing balanced symbol equations for 1 and 4, please? Could you pause the video and have a go at those tasks, please? So here are the answers. So number 1, you make copper chloride plus water. Number 2, copper sulfate plus water. Number 3, zinc chloride plus water. Number 4, magnesium sulfate plus water. They're the balanced symbol equations. If you could pause the video, please, to mark your work. Okay, final thing to go through is if you have a metal carbonate plus acid. Now, metal carbonate is a compound that has, the carbonate is a CO3 ion, so it has CO3 in it. So obviously what you form, as it says there, when metal carbonates react with acids, they form a metal salt, water and carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide comes from the metal carbonate. So once again, the metal salt comes from the metal from the carbonate, and the acid tells you which salt is made. So as before, could you have a go at those word equations, please? And if you're able to, those are some high tier symbol equations for numbers 1 and 3 to have a go at. So could you pause the video and have a go at those, please? Okay, let's go through the answers to those now. So number one, you make copper chloride with your water and carbon dioxide. Number two, zinc chloride, because you're using hydrochloric acid there, plus water plus carbon dioxide. Number three, sulfuric acid gives you sodium sulfate, is it sulfuric acid plus water plus carbon dioxide. There are your symbol equations to have a look at, see if you've got those correct. You actually only needed to add some numbers to balance the number one. You needed a 2 in front of the hydrochloric acid there. Okay, final task I'd like you to have a go at if you're working through this with me this morning or this afternoon, whatever time of day it is with you. On the screen there are some, in each of the equations, there are some errors. And now the errors are with the products, reminding you that the products are what is after the arrow. So for number one, sodium sulfate and water is the product. Now for each of them, there's a problem with the product. Could you pause the video, see if you can work out what the problem is with the product? And could you correct it as well, please, if you're able to? So pause the video and have a go at that task, please. All right, let's have a look through some answers then. So the first one, you would not make sodium sulfate. You would make sodium chloride because you're using hydrochloric acid. Second one says lithium there, but you are reacting it with magnesium, so you wouldn't make lithium nitrate. You make magnesium nitrate. You wouldn't be able to you can't make lithium if you start with magnesium. That's impossible. The next one, well, if we've got iron oxide, in reacting an oxide with an acid, and of course that doesn't make carbon dioxide, that makes water. The next one, we're actually missing something. Barium carbonate was one of the reactants which would give off this carbon dioxide, so we're missing the CO2 from that one. And the bottom one, we have got potassium carbonate and sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid does not give a chloride, it gives a sulfate, plus water, plus carbon dioxide. So I hope that you've done well at that. So thank you very much for the time that you've spent watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you've benefited from it with regard to your chemistry studies towards paper one. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care and bye-bye for me.